southern tip of Lake Michigan lie the Indiana sand dunes, one of the world's unique, unspoiled playgrounds. Here, where the four climates of North America meet, is the natural recreation center for mid-America. Here lie unparalleled beaches, vast enough for all the crowds of a summer holiday. Here, the city dweller finds a nearby region for water sports. Burns Ditch provides a snug harbor for hundreds of pleasure boats, from dinghies to yachts. From Friendly Beach to towering sand mountains to primeval forests, the dunes are waiting to be the playground of 170 million Americans. They are waiting if they will provide a haven of recreation. If future generations will enjoy their unique facilities. If the dunes will remain only if you are determined that they shall remain. Only if you give your support to those statesmen, scientists, educators, conservationists, and thousands of concerned citizens who are seeking to make the dunes a national monument, a permanent natural refuge, unique in the world. But already on every side, a growing population takes over more and more of the dunes area. The bulldozers advance. The trees are pushed down. The vegetation vanishes. Step by step, unless we act now, the dunes are doomed. What if the bulldozer, pollution of air and water, reckless industrialization destroy the last unspoiled area in mid-America? This is what we will lose forever. 20 miles of the most spectacular bathing beach in the world, as wonderful as the rocky coral strands of tropic isles. The child, bare-toed in the soft sand. Two months is not too young an age to be first introduced to the fresh, clean water. And Dad's shoulders are an impromptu diving board. Beach picnics are fun for people of every age. And the inquisitive sandpiper is always near at hand. But the majestic seagull goes in search of other company. And at the holiday's end, sunsets over the lake. And as darkness falls, good fellowship around wonderful driftwood fires. While picnics and the beach provide family pleasures, the dunes are also for the expert sportsmen. Here, yachtsmen test their skills in unsullied waters. Owners of larger craft venture out over blue waters on voyages that may end in Canada or the Gulf of Mexico. Water skiers risk a ducking as they race behind a speeding motorboat. And what is more exciting than landing a 3-pound fish with your son watching? Nature provides still other recreation in this Midwestern wonderland, where the marvels of wind and water, sand and plant life offer new surprises to the hiker and wanderer. Nature has designed the stage and set innumerable scenes in the course of a morning's walk. At the waterfront, sand, the product of the restless lake, sand that rules the dunes, sand ground fine and white before Rome ruled the Western world, and the winds and the water make the sand. Raw elements at the water's edge, but living things quickly move in to conquer the barren wilderness. Dune grasses are the pioneers. But the sand fights back, seeking to bury each blade in a miniature sand dune. The sand cherries, white with blossoms in the spring, are the grass's first allies. Wild grape, clinging to other plants, spreads out to hold the sand. Next, the rustling poplar, with its special defense against the elements. Branches buried in sand develop roots. Roots uncovered by a reverse wind are quickly leafy branches. Other vegetation moves quickly in, joining their roots with wormweed to anchor down the shifting sands. But if the marram grasses leave one tiny spot unguarded, the invading winds quickly seize their vantage. Pushing through the breached wall, whirling madly in the dry surface sand, they uncover a graveyard. Age-old trunks of pine trees standing as mute testimony of other winds. They scour out great amphitheaters, known as blowouts, mercilessly uncovering the roots of every living thing. Sometimes the plant world marshals reinforcements to hold the sandy dikes. And its victories are recorded in little pans, as the geologists call them, low-lying ponds made by the wind, now sheltered by new-made fore dunes. At the water's edge, a warm friendship grows between boy and frog. And here young boys dart after the friendly sand lizard. Here's a pleasant place to learn to climb a tree. The aggressive sand is not easily defeated. The law of gravity is its ally. Rising to a crest, the dry sand inevitably topples over to the lee side of the foredune. Sand grain follows sand grain, making the moving dune the inexorable avalanche of sand which entombs every plant in its path. Behind the fore dunes, behind the pans and the blowouts, are the older dunes, marking the shores of the lake in a prehistoric glacier era. The plant kingdom has begun to tame the restless sand. The red osier from the south, the bearberry of the far north, the junipers, the sumac, the jack pine, at home in the Arctic Circle, was left in the dunes 4,000 years ago when the Ice Age ended, and is nowhere else found so far south. Mingled with the oaks are the tall black cherries and the sassafras with aromatic bark. The forest shelters a profusion of wild flowers, the giant white trillium, the airy columbine, the marsh marigold, butter yellow against the dark green foliage, the tall Turk's cap lily, the rattlesnake master. Rich leaf fold nourishes the ghostly fiddleheads of the cinnamon firs. The harmless blue racer, alerted at man's approach, undulates quickly into the thick vegetation. Deer grow ever more numerous in the dunes wilderness. The gentle lee slopes of the older dunes are blanketed from spring to late fall with acres of color. The bird's-foot violet, far showier than its woodsy cousin, the yellow puccoon. Hosts of lupins, the bluebonnets of Texas. The blazing star of the Swiss Alps. The rare blue hearts, and boldly among these eastern flora, the waxy blossoms of the desert prickly pear cactus. When the last of the great glaciers melted thousands of years ago, the lake retreated with great suddenness, abandoning little pools behind it. They remain in the dunes as sunlit marshes, a favorite resting spot of migratory birds. Over 200 species have been observed in the dunes, woods, and marshlands. Here, too, we find the rare orange-fringed orchid. In the verdant duneland meadows, more wild flowers delight the eye. The butterfly weed, the daylily, the black-eyed Susan, and the wild rose. Cole's Tamarack Bog serves as an outdoor laboratory for botanists and ecologists of the great Midwestern universities. Scientists the world over have declared it to be as unique as the Grand Canyon. Botanists marvel at its many and rare plants, such as the sulfur polyphorus. Here is a jungle of ferns, tropical in size, matted vegetation, and plant life almost never found elsewhere in America. For hundreds of years, moss has grown atop moss on the trapped waters of the bog, until there's been laid up a mat of vegetation so thick it can now support fully grown trees and exploring parties. Not far from the bog, but well away from city streets and care and smoke, Boy Scouts wind their way down a moving dune. As they follow old Indian trails down dune and through wood, they learn new respect for the beauties of their country. Long hikes, camping out under the stars, what wonderful memories for boys to store away. Brownie Scouts come to learn about the sand cherries and linger on to play. The Dunes National Monument will be within a short day's drive of 20 million Americans. The Dunes will provide an outdoor weekend or a long vacation for city dwellers from Chicago, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Toledo, Milwaukee, and scores of other smaller cities in mid-America. The Dunes are easily reached by turnpike, federal highways, or by rail. Here, are the dunes, the beaches, the woodland, the steep, sandy slopes, part of America's heritage, a trust we must preserve for future generations. But the time grows short. Even now, the dunes are being destroyed by those who are heedless of the future. Even now, the dunes are being carried away by the conveyor belt to the waiting gondola. Yesterday, this was peaceful dune land, untouched since Father Marquette and his companions saw it 300 years ago, untouched since first forts of white man were built along the lake 2 centuries ago, untouched even when the railroads and highways cut across northern Indiana to link the great centers of commerce, untouched till now. The sand miner clears the land. The dunes are destroyed. Only barren desert remains. Next will come heavy industry, polluting the air, polluting the water, driving away the birds and animals, spoiling the beaches. Fantastic? Not at all. The dunes have their enemies, men who cannot see beauty. The high dunes, the wonderful world where living nature wrestles with wind and sand. They will have their way unless you and I are prepared to do our part. The dunes can be saved if we agree that they are worth saving. In 1958, Senator Paul Douglas of Illinois introduced a bill to create a Dunes National Monument to dedicate these last 3.5 miles of unspoiled dune land as an area forever to be saved for the enjoyment of the American people, and to preserve the dunes as they are as a valuable laboratory for American scientists. You and I must decide now that we will not permit the dunes to be destroyed. Save the Dunes Council is seeking 1 million citizens to sign its petitions, asking Congress to create a national monument in the dunes. Add your name to the hundreds of thousands who have already joined this endeavor. Write to your senator and your representative and tell them that you want this unique area preserved in its natural state for you and your children to enjoy. Time is running out for the beautiful, irreplaceable sand dunes of Indiana. Save the Dunes Council invites you to join its thousands of members in every state of the Union who are determined that they shall be saved. We must act now. We must act together. The dunes must not be destroyed.